Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the Zion-Benton Township High School Board of Education meeting to order on Tuesday, April 19th. We'll call it 6:12 p.m. After we're done with our roll call, we will hand it over to fellow districts. We'll go to District 1 right after us, and then we'll go to District 3. Roll call, please.
Mr. Benitez?
Here.
Ms. Champagne?
Here.
Mrs. Eidelberg?
Here.
Mr. Fortenberry?
Here.
Ms. Steven?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Nordstrom?
Here. Thank you, and I think I'll wait for the others to start the meeting before we ask for the pledge, if that's okay. Okay, I'll turn it over to District 1.
Call meeting to order. Roll call. Mr. Segura?
Here.
Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Ms. McCarthy?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Dowd?
Here.
Okay, call into the meeting to order. Roll call.
Marcia White,
Here.
Nicole Butler, Andrea Estry, Andy Luther,
Here.
Stephen Lindsay, Ann Fusen, Kelly Ropers. Here.
And will you please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As far as our agenda for Zion, or Zion High School, we have a section for communications from staff, guests, and district residents. I believe we have all staff and students. Is there anybody who is intending to make a public statement? Okay. Being none, I will move on from this section. Do the other districts have anything next on their agenda before we start? No? Okay, I'll turn it over to superintendents then for whoever's going to lead us off.
Thank you so much. So welcome to our joint board meeting. Here is our agenda for tonight. We're going to do a little activity in just a minute. We have some table topic discussions for our boards to engage in, and we're going to make you guys get up and move around, so get ready to get up and move. There's going to be some sharing out. Hopefully determine dates for next year to continue with joint board meetings between our 4 school boards, develop some priority topics for next year, and then we do have an exit ticket for you to fill out today to give us feedback for moving forward. We already did that. So if you remember, we have these legacy statements. I'm so glad that Jesse and his team put those up there. We developed those this year. As one community, our students are provided the resources, holistic support, and inspiration to succeed academically and professionally. 2, create a sense of belonging for all students in our community. Knowledge and tools to be successful. And 3, our learning community will provide strong communication and transparency to foster community engagement, ensuring the emotional, social, and academic development of all of our students. And I think our focuses this year were on partnership, collective efficacy within the community, community engagement, and everything is on behalf of our students. So the first thing we're going to do, this will be our focus tonight, get to know each other a little bit better, discuss and collaborate, review our learning collectively, determine dates for next year, complete an exit ticket, celebrate our partnership and our commitment to our learning community as a whole. So I would love everyone to stand up that is on a board or helping to support our boards. We're going to try to form a little bit of a circle. I don't know if it's possible, but we're going to try. So if you want to connect kind of around, starting with me and going that way, that's what we're going to do. I know I'm totally blocking your camera. I'm so sorry. I'm not used to having to choreograph. So we're going to do a little introduction activity. And what I planned would take us a really long time, so I'm going to change it up ever so slightly. So what I want you to do is introduce yourself, say your name, how long you've been on the school board, and why working collaboratively with other boards is important to you as a board member. Okay? I'm Dr. Denise Wilcox. I'm the superintendent in Beach Park. This is officially my second year, third year because I was interim for 1 year. It is super important to me that we collectively work together because in the end, they are all our kids. Doesn't matter whose district they go to, they're all our students. And that's extremely important to me because what we do at one school is just as important as what we do at another. I'm gonna go this way. Kelly's gonna love that.
I'm Kelly Rovers. I have been on Beach Park District 3's board for 23 and just got reelected on the April election, so I'm kind of excited about that. I just, to echo what Dr. Wilcox says, we all feed into the high school. We're all here in this beautiful little corner of the county. I think it's important to collaborate together, make sure that we're guiding these kids from start to finish, you know, through the whole education process here.
Andy Luther, I've been on the board for about 24 years. Would agree with what's been said. Obviously, we're separate districts or separate communities, but we really are one. And so whatever we can do to work together for our students, is great.
Frank Adams, I'm the director of business at Beach Park. I've been there for 2 years. And I think it's the sense of it all being one community and that all the children in that community are all of ours.
I'm Marsha White. I've been on the board for about 14 years, and my feeling is that our children are our future, so we need to work together on that future.
Dane Hoffman, Winthrop Harbor. This is my third year. I think the collaboration is important, that each community has a voice and it's not dictated centrally and out.
Lisa McCarthy. I've been on Winthrop Harbor for 12 years. And I think it's important, basically what everybody's saying, just that we're all working together and networking, being able to share information.
Jeff McCartney, Superintendent, Winthrop Harbor. It's my 7th year with the district, 20th as a superintendent as a whole. My whole entire career has been dedicated to kids. This is just on a bigger scale, and I think it's really important that we all work together.
I'm Alberto Segura. I have been on the District 1 for about 2 years now, and as everyone was saying, is working together because we're in Winthrop Harbor and all our kids will go to Zion Benton eventually, so I think if we're all working together, things can be accomplished.
Nick Dowdle, been on the board for 8 years now. Repeat, but yeah, it makes sense and it's a good idea to have everybody move forward in one direction.
My name is Gene Ellis, and I've been on the Winthrop Harbor School Board.
Dr. Jesse Rodriguez, Superintendent, District 126. Basically, it's our children, our future, and the idea that together we will achieve more.
Kathy Champagne. I've been on the board 4 years. I think we all have the same goals, and we'll get there faster if we work together.
I love that.
Jerry Nordstrom, been on the board since December of 16, and I was on earlier in the 2000s. And I think one of the things we've tried to do, and hopefully extends to the all the districts, is figure out what we can do to make sure our students want to be in school, that their families want to be involved, and that the community understands and supports well-being.
Oh, it's Cook. Brought in on the board in July of last year, I think, and then recently elected for another 2-year term a couple weeks ago. So I think what was cited so far, ditto.
I'm Patricia Stevens, and I was on District 6 for 4 years, and this is my second term for the high school. I think it's great that we are cooperating together because all of us in the same community, and I think that our children are our future, and so that's what we need to work on, keeping everybody communicating and working together.
My name is Pam Eidelberg. I've officially been on the board 1 week.
Welcome.
Thank you. I believe every child has the right to a sound, safe education, to be in a building where they're not insecure. So I believe collaboration between the boards, especially feeding into the high school, is extremely important. And that's why I ran for office.
Cool. I'm Blake Fortenberry. I've been on the board for 1 week.
Welcome as well.
Thank you. Basically, I think it's important for us to all get together so we can share resources, share learnings. We're all part of the same community, and it's more efficient if we all work together towards an end goal from K to 12, or actually technically from like pre-K to 12 in a lot of cases. So I think it's good to align our curriculums as best as we can, our resources as best we can. So yeah, that's it.
Christopher Benitez. I've been on the board for 4 years, and I actually agree with everyone what they've said. So.
Marge Taylor. I've been on the D6 board for 30 years.
How many years?
30.
I think she wins the award.
And just better together. Our three communities have, have not always worked so closely together, but in these trying times, I think it's really important for resources and for collaboration.
My name is Nadia Perez. I've been on the board for a year or so. I like the idea of all of us coming together. I think we can enrich our and just go for it. I think it's a really great thing.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Julius Lawson, Superintendent, District 6. Simply put, 4 separate districts, 1 school community, stronger together.
Thank you. You guys can all have a seat. Thank you so much. I just want to take a minute and thank all of our boards for being here tonight, participating in these throughout the school year, because this is something that's very near and dear to my heart, is ensuring that we create this connected community on behalf of our kids. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Denise. So the next part of the is a guided discussion, but before we do that, just some housekeeping vocabulary. So, a couple of years ago, we started the process of referring to one another, and at the high school level, you are our foundation. You're not our feeders. You are our foundation. So here today we have a couple students. Mr. Angelos has students from all districts. Today, Beach Park is represented big time. Yes. So when you see them, you can stand up. This is our foundation. You created excellent students, and they came to us. So we changed and we try to make it more additive. That it is a K-12 enterprise from kindergarten all the way to high school, and our focus is that they graduate, and it starts with you, and then we take over at the high school level, and that's what we're pushing, so that they go to college, they go to the military, or they go and become employed. We call it 721. But again, thank you, Beach Park, thank you, Winter Harbor, thank you, Science 6, for sending us a foundation and the best students anywhere. So on behalf of Mr. Angelo and I, our board, thank you again, and you might sit, students. So foundational schools and high school, all working together. And that's the idea. And before we do that, and before we go into the activity, we're going to show you an example of what this foundation is all about. So you will see in a video why it's important that you are considered, that you are our foundation. This is a video put together by the 4 different school districts under the leadership of Mr. Angelos and the hard work of our students. So I was told that some clips, like 10 seconds, took hours. So when it was time to record me, it took forever to get that going. Maybe days. I mean, they probably decided we don't need him in this video. So, and then they were told by the teacher, no, we gotta give him 2 seconds. But again, I mean, it shows the excellent work of our high school and what our students are capable of doing when we believe in them. It's not an achievement gap, it's an opportunity gap. We're dealing with an opportunity gap in our communities, and these opportunities that Mr. Angelo and our teachers and our district provide to our students at the different school districts, are really key in making us successful. So again, you will see in the video, the hard work of all school districts, a collection of different, artifacts. Some administrators are speaking, teachers, students, but most importantly, the return on the investment that we have when it comes to our career and technical programs and the hard work of our teachers with our students, as this was produced here in Winter Harbor, in Zion, Benton, District 126. Okay, gotta go back. Katie?
Day 721 represents the start of life after high school, the challenges and opportunities that await our students. The ZB Community Schools are committed to ensuring every student is prepared for success on this critical day and beyond.
A school year is 180 school days. You multiply that by 4, you get 720. For every student that comes in as a freshman, we are thinking about what's happening on day 721.
It all comes down to what kind of community do you want? And then you have to, work your schools around those goals and that vision of what do you want your future communities to look like, because those future communities are in your schools right now.
We maintain high, expectations for our kids, and we want them to succeed.
I get excited about that because it's not just about teaching and learning. It's about, building character, giving kids the skills necessary to be successful.
Every single student here can do amazing things, and we just have to harness that at a young age and all have the same vision, so we're all moving in the same direction.
Teachers from high school district, teachers from Beach Park, and teachers from Winthrop Harbor, so we've come together to really focus on building the capacity of our teachers through those collaborative efforts, and so we see that really being a huge success.
And I think that has the largest impact is creating a learning community across 4 school districts, ensuring that we're all working together collaboratively to give kids exactly what they need to find success on day 721.
Let's explore how each ZB school district is empowering students with unique teaching and hands-on programs.
Teaching them how to set a routine, how to follow it, is something that I think is very important and gives them skills later when they enter the workforce.
Although it seems like small skills, those are huge bricks in their foundation. If they know that, then we can pick up the ball with pre-algebra and pre-geometry. And if we get that ball rolling, then those students are fully prepared for high school.
I am teaching them how to fill out job applications, create resumes. We explore the 16 career clusters and all of the careers that are under those clusters.
Our college and career counselors work with our school counselors in a lot of ways in order to prepare kids for the process of going through high school.
Whether that be understanding, the basics of finance and economy, some of our history. If a student is 2 or 3 grades behind, we're not going to lower the expectations for that student. We are going to coach that student up to where they can meet those expectations.
Hear from the students themselves as they share their dreams for the future and how ZB schools are helping them achieve those goals.
I would say our dual credit classes prepare us for the rigor of college. The professors really expect more from us in a shorter amount of time.
In math, she's starting to teach us 8th grade work before we get to high school,
because when we get to 8th grade, they're going to teach us that stuff.
Earlier this year, we were able to attend the Lake County Fairgrounds, where we were able to learn about different career pathways that we could take in high school and after.
We have sport activities that can help you with your athleticism and your well-being. There's a teacher, it's my 8th period teacher, her name's Miss Pipes. She just teaches us about careers and stuff, about life.
I feel that yearbook club helps because it helps us with leadership roles and working with other people, which will be good for us in our careers.
I really like Be Leaders because it helps us get involved in our school, and it allows me to see what my peers are concerned with and change our school from the inside.
We did this research about more about the career we want to do. We wrote down on a big piece of paper and how much the salary and things are.
Growing up, I really loved music, so I want to go to college and study music production.
We do things like videography, photography, graphic design, a lot of things like that. And I think that it prepares us for a lot of things that we could do in the real world. The ZB community takes immense pride in its schools. It's a place where students are nurtured, supported, and encouraged to be their best.
We have amazing staff members, amazing faculty, working with amazing and extraordinary students.
We are supporting students in the junior high to set them up for success in high school. We just don't let them fly and never see them again. We hope to build that relationship.
The less we know, the harder it is to actually help others. So I think the more that we understand what's happening in classrooms and what's happening with teachers, I think it's just going to build a stronger community all around.
You have people in this building, in this whole district, in this whole community actually, that really care about the young people of this community.
Knowing what our students embody, the principles they embody, the values they embody, and being a platform for them to form those and take them out into the world is without question the #1 most powerful thing an educator can do.
Every school in the ZB community plays an important part in our students' journey to Day 721. We love our students more than anything, and our priority is and will always be their futures.
Thank you, students. Thank you, Mr. Angelos, for the hard work. It's appreciated. I am not surprised of what you created. So you don't surprise me anymore because I already know you're excellent. I already know what you can produce. So, but I am very proud that you did this and that you put this together. And I asked Katie to schedule a lunch between all the students, you and the administration, as appreciation, so where we can talk a little bit more. But again, this is the foundation, and I thank you, Foundational Schools, for producing the the best students anywhere. We have no excuses. We're investing in the right places. We can see that our students are going all over the nation, bringing awards. We can see the productions that we put together here in our district, and that is again nothing but the result of a K-12 hard work, disciplined work from all boards of education, administrators, and also our students. So very, very proud. And we do have a couple table topics that we want to discuss. But as you saw in the video, this idea of 721, the students are with us for 720 days. After they graduate, it's very simple. It's very simple and it's very militant. Yes, it is. They better have a plan, post-secondary plans. Go to work, go to college, or go to the military. You're going to do something. And we want to make sure that in these 4 years, we prepare you for college, career. It's not only college, it's also careers, and it's also, most importantly, life. So that is the focus of the high school, and that is what we're working on with the elementary schools, K-8, as foundational schools, to make sure that we have the learner profile identified early on. And then once they come to high school, we can accelerate the process with post-secondary plans. So, but with that, we have, we do have some challenges. we also have great opportunities, because as board superintendents, we work in a state where things change rapidly, and we must adapt to that. So we do have 4 topics that we want to discuss, that we want our boards to discuss. And they are future-focused learning, shared accountability, community partnerships, and college and career readiness. So what took place is that we have identified collectively that those 4 areas are important. So collectively, as superintendents, I mentioned that those areas are important for 126. Julius indicated the same about District 6, Denise in District 3, and Jeff in District 1. That those 4 areas are things that we are concerned about, in addition to funding. So in addition to funding, we are very concerned about those topics. But we like the boards to have some interactions on this and some discussion. And instead of doing it by board, we're going to mix it up a little bit. So this is how we do that. So if you can count 1 through 4, and we'll start with Jerry here. 1,
2, 3,
4, 1,
2, 3, 4.
Okay?
2,
3, 4. Oh, sorry.
1.
I'll do
2.
4. 1.
2.
Oh, sorry. I for a minute I thought Jeff was a board member, so it's 2. Sorry about that. So once here. Actually, I'm sorry. If I want number 8.
4.
You want to see it? You move. Okay, so 3 here. 1 here. 2 and 4. I already forgot which table. So you got it?
You want me to get rid of this before? Oh, thank you. Yep.
No, but I'm bringing them
This is table 2.
This is table 2.
Awesome. No, just let her out real quick.
Okay.
Is that good or? Perfect. This is what. Oh. You're talking about that means.
Shared accountability over there.
Community partnerships.
All right, so now in 33 seconds, you have to identify a facilitator, note taker, and spokesperson in your table. Identify a facilitator, note taker, and spokesperson.
I'll take it.
Oh. All 3 things? No one's making contact. I love it.
What's that? I'll be the spokesperson.
What?
Unless.
Oh, good.
I'm willing. No
Okay, so you're taking notes here. So this is the purpose of it. And everything is here that you need. But, so everything is here that you need. But in addition, you have these note cards put together. Right, Denise? You have descriptions about what every table has. You might not need it, but for those of you who need more research and more information, it's available. But everything you need will be here.
I think some stuff got it, because the sheet that we have doesn't go with the cards that we have.
Yeah, don't worry about the cards.
Oh, these? Don't worry about these?
No.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. They're there for supplemental materials. So everything you need is here. You don't need the cards.
Oh, we don't need the cards.
Everything you need is in this piece of paper. So the cards are actually here, in these clear corners. All right, so everything you need is in this piece of paper. Everything else is supplemental materials. Note taker, spokesperson, and what was the other one? Facilitator. So in your group, facilitator, you're going to talk about, in this case, community partnerships and why that is important, utilizing those 4 guiding questions. So use these questions to facilitate the discussion. And if you want to know what community partnerships is, what is the operating definition, it is provided to you here.
Let's go this way.
So the operating definition of community partnerships is provided. So you can talk about everything, whatever you want, your ideas and your thoughts. So we will have about 10 minutes to do this, and then we will share aloud with the rest of the group. That sounds clear? Denise, sounds clear? All right, thank you.
Guide your conversation.
So we are taking this shared accountability.
So she also has so somebody else needs it up close. So you went through it, it's right on the front.
16 divided by 5. Yeah, of course. How many is that? Yeah, I guess.
You guys want an extra one with the descriptions on it?
Yeah.
I can read this if you want to.
District 6 taught me that.
My only one was having a little difficulty connecting when I just read it. The purpose of I don't understand how it applies. Like a shared accountability with like students and parents and teachers and facilitators. This is just a private statement to the topic.
As a topic,
So the players are lawmakers and us.
well, for what we're doing today, I would just based on what do we need for as far as shared But you guys could define it as shared accountability. I think that, especially sure.
Community-wide, right? What they know. But it exposes, yeah, and you have that idea of what orange is, what's a job. You really don't know what we're talking about.
So we're about halfway through, just answering 2 out of the 4 questions. We're about halfway through. Just answering 2 out of the 4 questions.
Have weaknesses, because you don't want to use that word. What do you think are areas of improvement? And then also,
We can write on this.
Write those out, like say, give me 3 strengths, give me 3,
So that's the one that says how do we foster a culture of trust and communication as essential for sharing. What is it? This is the easiest one. How can we, don't you think? This is like how can we better share community? So let's start here and see where we end up. Something we come up with here made of all the I don't know what here I just took over.
I was trying to get that. And I came in my public education career. I read phonetic.
Having them explore the idea, what eventually I'm a, if it's gonna have, what do I want to work?
I think that's a big one with that bullet points. Training, if it is, you know, dress like, what are things like with the product, you're just changing whatever they have to countdown or whatever you do. We just change the to the principals benchmark these, do they talk like, hey, we're gonna look to switch over, because I know our math one came on you and it just wasn't doing well for us. No, go ahead.
Yeah, we are on that page.
We are going back next year. What about, so collaborate, what about professional development for our staff together? Like I know we had a, what you did this year where we all went to staff all out to Great State. Like what if we did it just in our
Yeah, sure, yeah, sure.
I think that'd be good just for staff at other schools to see. I don't want to say lacking, but do you see something another district might be doing that works better or works better like professional? And then they all
I mean, like Junior Achievers does this already, but like, I'm like, instead of having a teacher.
And they did one for the whole county, right? They went on crazily busy. Yeah, but I think to do it just here would be beneficial.
From my first time sure here, you want to bring in machinists, bring in, people.
Exactly what I was going to say. Now
We're going to add 3 more minutes to the clock. It looks like everybody is still working, so we're going to add 3 more minutes to the clock.
Do you think that's good for that one? So how can we hold each other accountable for professional development and tell about it. Do you see how I don't know?
You make me sound like you're just like, this is the day when all the first year. It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can even do like group type situations.
Maybe what about
break it down to
As long as we have an agreed baseline, because I know with information during our school administrators, they're reporting on us as far as testing. Testing, that is a lot of how we track behavior, but I think it's not, or maybe our behavior different people, when you focus on one, when you focus on another. So as long as they have the same baseline, so we work those numbers and agreed upon, I think
Glad you're on curriculum, this is why you need to learn things.
You gotta get doctor in front of you. That's how that happens. I did. I had to watch 2 minutes out of our bathroom.
We had a workshop in special arts in the basement. Great songs. I made a clock. If you do like the standard design, probably the last woodworking I've ever done in my life.
We wrote here. I didn't see him say he was a 2.
anything else you want to add? Add more to this? What was the other question? So the other two are, how can we talk about essential communication is essential for sharing? How can we incorporate feedback mechanisms to support the sharing? So over here, the shared accountability talks about reform the Illinois assessment system by which to be timely and use to measure our student proficiency.
Didn't understand.
Like that,
How long it takes to get the results.
How long it takes to get the results.
Because all the rest of us have digital clocks.
What's it? Is it the year? Isn't it a year over by the time we get this stuff down?
That's not true.
This electronic testing? Where is that yet?
Right. So how does that?
Yeah.
Like we ran speed trials, 20 minutes. All this stuff faster than 20%. Right, and it's all.
I mean, all this kind of scales, right?
There's a lot of stuff I wish the state would do some university districts to be just go work. System to like testing to take I don't understand why the state doesn't use the state. Now let me talk to whoever the provider is. So we have versus 3 minutes.
His job is like
that's something I've always wanted to say. But that's a big one of the things I've learned from a lot of these more we put,
Yeah, I know, my brother did that.
be very careful how many we put. Let's leave them very, let's leave a little open so we can expand. I don't want to get pigeonholed or beat into a corner. We got the two. You're right. This was our freezing classes.
But it needs to be like relevant. Because you
Okay,
can't.
so we have about 30 more seconds. Finish up the last month. 30 more seconds.
Nobody uses it. Right, like.
Finish the last sentence. Spokesperson, get ready to present. All right, so we start with this table. This table starts. Benitez table. Yeah, that's the only table that gave me more time. Benitez table, yeah.
So we chose two questions. First question we want to start out with is the one.
There's shared accountability.
Yeah, can we shift that over? Perfect. We'll go lower left with the star.
No. There we go.
There. How can we better share responsibility for student learning? One of the things we felt was important that as separate districts, we should have more communication and collaboration around the curriculums with each other. As we, as your kids go up to a level, we'd like them all to have, well, they're all starting at the same spot, they should end kind of similar in the same spot, regardless what town they come from, what district they come from. We should have at least a baseline of where they should be going, and that communication could be improved. And we think that, I guess they have professional development things between the county. We felt that rather than the county-wide and kind of be washed out, we should have that between the 4 districts. We can still attend the county for professional development for our staff in the schools, but at least with the 4 districts working together, we can have a more collaborative voice to walk in. Being little individuals and silent voices, we'd be a louder voice to be heard throughout the county. So that's what we had for the STAR question. Next one was the email question. How can we hold each other accountable for improving student outcomes and professional practices? Again, that plays off to professional development for our staff. I think that's important that it moves forward them to better benefit our students going forward. One of the big things we did discuss as well as curriculum sharing for the responsibility of student learning. We moved over into the 4 districts getting together and sharing their metrics and their numbers that come out of them. Either the social emotional, the academic, and the shared baseline. It's really important that if we're going to discuss these numbers and metrics with each other, that we develop a baseline between each other. Like A means A, 1 means 1. So when we have the outcomes we present, it's all on the same scale and all understood between everyone what the what's the word I'm looking for? What the assignment was. So we're all doing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. So that's what we had for our team. Thank you.
Something very powerful from that
No idea
table
why, so that's it.
was that when developing these metrics, they must be personalized because not all schools are created equal. So that was something very powerful. Yes, that assessment is important, those metrics are important, but the benchmark has to be based on that particular school and their needs. So that's I got that. When I went by, I was looking for those things, see? So, second table, Blake?
Oh, okay, I guess I'm sweet. So we had college and career readiness, and I think we chose these two, right? The 2 corners. So how can we improve collaboration between our districts and stakeholders to better support college and career readiness? And we really kind of all blended together in the discussion because they're kind of getting at the same thing. So what we came up with was like community-wide, what do you want to be when you grow up event for like pre-K to 4, so for younger kids, right? And that might be entail dressing up as what you want to be, learning a bit about a vocation or whatever you want to be, right? Just to get them starting to think about where they want to end by 12, right? Now, they're not going to know. That's fine, but just engaging that part of their brain. And then beyond that, from 5 to 12, we were looking at bringing in community members to do discussions, exposés of careers, having maybe a community career night where we have like literally an expo where kids can go from booth to booth to learn about different careers, things they may be interested. And with that, kind of maybe having community members speak to how what they've learned would attach to that career, right? Like there are a lot of the things that we learn in high school or in elementary school are foundational to your career. You may not realize it, but there's a lot of critical thinking skills, a lot of learnings that you carry on and they just become automatic, right? So kind of really getting them to just think about that, because if you're just riding through to 12th grade, not thinking about what you want to do, that's probably not optimal. And using our community resources to do so, because we have a lot of professionals in the community that can help with this. And then how can we better engage parents and community members in supporting student success in college and career readiness? Kind of the same thing, right? Like getting them involved in this too, because we have a lot of educated parents and all different fields, right? We have career and technical people that have children that go to our districts. We have, we probably have doctors and somewhere in it that can come and talk. We have people who work in sales fields. They can talk about their, I mean, there's all sorts of different vocations that people can do, and it's not just college, right? But just bringing them in, engaging those parents and community members to talk about their careers and get these kids ready for day 721, I suppose. If you're speaking to high school, but I don't know what's 13 times 180. I have no clue off the top of my head, but that's a lot more. So I think that's where we're at, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, internships. Yeah, we can talk about that, like little mini internships, whether that's like they shadow an employee for a day, right? And then that could eventually evolve into, okay, now we have somebody who's actually working in a field in a support capacity and making money off of it, in addition to like getting high school credit or something along those lines for it. So.
Yeah, post-secondary plans starting in elementary. And this is what comes to mind now. You activated my background, my experience in elementary. I remember in K5 there was a unit about careers and the zookeeper, and I want to be a police officer and a teacher, and you're so excited, you're in kindergarten and you want to be all, you want to do all of that. But then we forget about it after second, third, fourth, fifth, and then we pick it up again in high school. So maybe that's happening. That's a discussion for us as superintendents. But so starting with those post-secondary plans when they're little, instilling that in their head, and then keeping with that all the way to 12th grade. Because we're doing it now at the high school level in 9th grade. But that's an interesting thought, because I think you still do that. Do you do that in Illinois, in elementary K5?
We do a bunch of stuff at our middle school, 6-8, and our APs bring in people on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis to speak about careers.
Good, so that idea of post-secondary plans, I mean, from kindergarten to 12th grade is a good discussion for us. And then there was something interesting in this table about the fact that many students cannot read this anymore. And everything is zero. And I'm making sure that we provide a holistic approach, and that our students are viewed differently. And although technology and all those things, times to change are important, that there's a place also for that type of learning. So that came from this table. Mr. Nostrom, your table?
Awesome. Hello, I'm Alberto Segura. I am the spokesman of our table. We had some good discussions here. We are talking about the future focus of learning. One of the first ones that we decided to touch on was how can we make learning more personalized and student-driven. And so as we were talking, kind of similar to what a lot of the table were talking about as far as finding out or getting some ideas to the students, finding out some goals and something that they want to accomplish. Maybe one of their strong suits. I know there's people that like social studies, there's people who like math and certain different subjects, and we feel like we just need to find their strong suits. But we know there's also a lot of data out there that we know where certain kids are at as far as their education level. And so it would be nice to just, you know, I think the first week of school we discussed, it would be fun to like ask the students, what is it that you like? What is it that you want to learn specifically to make it more personalized for them? And as the process goes, we'll find out, and we don't like the word weakness, but we'll know that maybe something that wherever there's lacking, the teacher will know how we can help that student specifically. I think that's what we got for that as far as that first question we wanted to get answered. And the second one was, how can we support teachers in developing skills they need effectively to teach a future-focused classroom? And so with us getting the information from the students on what they really what they want to do as far as what they want to study, what they really want to focus on, I feel like once we get that, then we can have maybe a discussion of who can speak to the teachers of like, hey, this is what these students, or this is what we really want to talk about as far as the teachers. Once we get the ideas from the students, then the superintendents or whoever would like to talk to the teachers as far as how we could help and give the right resources to the teachers to help the students ultimately. So, but yeah, we think that there's just there's a lot out there, and we know that teachers need help as far as like, if there's a classroom of 20 kids, one teacher can't necessarily be focused on all 20 students all at one time. So, but it would be nice to specifically find out what the student needs and then have that one-on-one dialogue with the student as far as the teacher goes, and help them, you know, and yeah, just help them and get them prepped up for the high school level as far as that goes. So.
Yeah, so the idea of personalized, student-driven, I mean, looking at the student interest and what he or she, you know, interest is, and then tailoring instruction and curriculum based on needs.
Right. And then, you know, we know that there's also things that a student might need help in. And so, you know, as they're doing through testings, which they do anyways, and we know there's data out there. And so I just feel, we feel as a group that, you know, once we know that we can help them much better. And if they need extra, you know, help, maybe one-on-one time with that student to help them, because let's just face it, you know, there's students out there, and I believe I was one when I was growing up. I just needed just a little bit extra from that teacher, and it helped me. So,
yeah, so interventions for our students, and we have pushed and we have discussed as superintendents and in this district the idea of interventions are important, but also enrichment and also acceleration. So we do have a lot of students that need to be pushed harder because they're bored in class. They're gifted, they just do the material. So acceleration is important, but also those students that are not catching up. I was one of those too. Yeah. We need a little bit more.
Right, a little bit of that push. So.
Yeah. All right, thank you much. And panel table, Kathy?
Sure. Community partnerships. We only got to one question, and that was, how do we ensure that all members of the community are included in the conversation? And that's hard. I think we've all tried. I pointed out that people show up here when they want to complain about taxes, but they aren't interested in much else. My colleagues suggested, besides social media, we have to have a good social media presence, you know, and that's something we need to work on constantly, and I think ours has improved. But maybe we need to consider mailers too, to some of the older residents who don't have children and grandchildren in school, maybe don't want to get on social media. So that was one thing, maybe go back to limited mailing. I know mailing is expensive, so we might want to target seniors that way. We do celebrations here. And I think that getting these students in early in a meeting and celebrating their successes is another good way to start bringing parents and teachers in. And we agreed that parent-teacher conferences are vital. If we're going to get the parents hooked onto the school and engaged, we need an engaged parent to keep the students engaged. And so I think we really have to focus on parents and how can we get them to understand how important it is that they care about their students' future. What else? Good comment from Pam was using Nextdoor as well as Facebook, but turning off comments so that we don't have all the negativity from certain trolls when we're posting something good. And I would really, really, really like to see the community come out to the PAC and see some of her performances. This play last week was outstanding. So is our band, so is our choir. And the whole community should know that. So I'd really like to see how much our kids have to offer.
Yeah, so with the idea of a community partnerships, one observation, compared to other districts in Illinois and also in Wisconsin, about you. Even at the high school level, so I am doing the high school, every time that you have an activity where students are performing or students are involved, you probably have the best participation. Our parents in this community, they like to come and see their students perform. In other places, you are at the high school level and they send you and they go home. Our parents do come and they stay. From athletics to that play was full last week. So the more activities that we do where we invite parents and the students are performing, because when you do an activity such as a Title I meeting to talk about Title I and funding and reading, the interest level from parents is not as high. But every time it's fine arts, every time it's athletics, you do have a participation level that is higher than other districts that I've been on. So we got to capitalize on that because there's an interest, but the interest is when my child is performing. So I'm coming out and I'm bringing grandma and I'm bringing uncles and aunties and I'm bringing people with me. But when the activity is about the state of education by the superintendent, very little interest. To be honest with you, whereas in other communities you got a lot of people come out. So our strength is in honestly in elevating our student. And when we elevate our student from elementary to high school, our parents and our community is more interested than when we are elevating ourselves. You see that? There's something unique about our community that I see. And every time we have events, as I said before, they do come out. And I'm sure elementary schools might see that as well. But I know the high school level is very unique because at the high school level, many parents, they go back. They bring the student and they go back here, they stay. Some go back and they leave their kids here, but many of them do stay. So we get better participation when the students are being recognized, elevated, performing, that interest is there, games. So we got to do more of that. We figured it out and we're pushing that more and more and promoting that more and more, with social media. So thank you much. And our next section is with Mr. Dr. McCarthy.
I think you just took mine.
Did I? Oh my God, no I didn't. Did I?
To share? What have we learned? I think that one of the reasons that we wanted to really kind of do breakouts into tables and have discussions a little bit more in depth is to get all board members acquainted more personally with each other, especially new board members that are coming in, but also to capitalize on what we want to do in the future. We talked administratively with superintendents here, and it's one thing for us to come in and give you a presentation and give you data, but it's another for you as board members to say, this is what we want to learn. So this is kind of our goal right now, is to say, what do we want, or what do you want us to do for you to help you become better board members in each district? So we've done a lot of sharing today. You've started in on the activities, and I think it's kind of where we're leading into. So
Any thoughts? If you want to just stay at your tables and then maybe discuss that as the next question, or you want to just raise your hand?
Or it could be what we've learned from this year, working together jointly in joint board meetings and things we've done collectively together. What have you learned?
Well, let me give you, let's go 5 minutes at your tables. Come up with maybe either some thoughts about what you've learned or where you want to go, and then we'll take that next step. So 5 minutes on the clock.
I think it's more fraud.
I think if we're talking about narrative, it's good to put it out what's on your mind about education. Some of the last words I had was a couple of years it's kind of the same thing here, right? Just to have these great discussions about them. Guys, I don't want to share what we've been doing.
For 3 years I've had it. We go back to old times. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I think it just shows that we all the districts that sometimes have but then you get to know them, right? And we get to see them back. We and really want what's best for our kids and our districts across all levels. You could, like, I want to say, I'm saying I'm follow Instagram right now, and I want to make sure they're headed out to be good citizens.
Not just having a role like what's I feel like more involved in the
levels than just mine.
But are the facilities here that we've all involved in?
Am I sharing today?
I'd like to see different, whether it's a change in this format or even a summer meeting. Because everyone in Hamilton, it just seems like there's a lot of talking about a lot of topics, a lot of realms, a lot of ideas. It's got to be chunked in different tables. So when we focus on this, they focus on, we listen to what it is. I wish we could have more of a focus thing. Like one of the things you talk about is like parent participation. Where do the parents in your school participate? What are we doing? One of the things he's talking about is like recognition. That's one of the big things we're pushing our board is more academic. It's very difficult with our rating scale. We don't have to raise anymore. Our special around that. But we need to say, you know, athletes energy award to show them. That brings the parents to the board meetings. We're different. What every district does that others might not be doing, they're showing success. Whether it's awards at the meetings, whether it's just a larger award ceremony where parents get invited, or it's the games, or it's the like one of the cool things that I noticed with the Shrek play is we had a kid from our school to play on the Shrek. And because he's involved in some of the high school classes, he's actually able to participate in that. But I'll tell you what, there was a rib of parents there just because he was there. Like parents that normally don't have kids in high school wouldn't even go to it because like one kid that was in. So I'm not maybe a collaboration of they invite some kids from all the schools to have now you're dragging parents but not to focus on participation of parents, but like maybe one meeting be very focused on social media, and you tell the month or the quarter advance, everybody we're going to focus on social media next meeting. Everyone do something you can. Your measures, you learn your pros, your cons, like what you get from it. I think we talk about it. Whether that's this meeting that's more focused or a separate meeting.
I think that's a great thing to share as well.
So give like time ahead, yeah.
Yeah, like that's a great acknowledgement. We talked about a lot of things, right? We poured huge topics today. You did. The point
thinking behind this was that you guys were going to rotate tables on the tables. Oh, yeah. Which I think that's really really dialing in on what goes
This is more like a shuffling process where we can take an extra step. Now it's measure progress. What did you guys cover last meeting? We shared so much about social media presence and different messaging on the table, whether it's the idea of flyers. Or maybe District 6 does flyers. We didn't get any of it. One maybe picks a kid from the college to be a digital media expert, maybe pay him a small stipend or whatever. Right? Let's be part of it. It's a huge thing. Maybe turning on sometimes. Oh, we got land bands because now we're not. It's just a moderator. They build. It's a moderator that builds the rules, and when someone puts one of those ding-dong comments in there, they cancel it out and say, hey, this is why it was wrong.
All right, let's come back together.
Yeah.
Okay, so the topic was what you've learned over the course of our joint board meetings, or what you would like to learn. And we'll start at this table, and we'll go opposite this time. So, who would like to speak? Anyone?
So we kind of, discussed that, what we learned as far as like having these meetings together, which, are beneficial, and it's, trying to figure out, how many do you need, how do you lead them, how do we get it to go forward, because there is board turnover, and there's always going to be board turnover, but, we want it to be something more of, not every meeting be the same, Like now that we've done this, like the next one should be a moving forward thing, not necessarily a more icebreakers and, learning about each other, like, okay, now let's put our heads down and try to figure some stuff out together. And, kind of.
Any topics that came out of that discussion, or just looking to move forward in general?
I think communication was definitely one. We're all separate districts, so communication-wise, and you said you guys have kind of ways of communicating amongst each other and stuff like that. And, outside of knowing what each district does, it'd be nice, and so maybe these kinds of meetings try to figure out, well, this is the process that we go through, this is the process that you go through. And
so when we talk about scope and sequence, within the course of the school district, if we were one district, we would try to do scope and sequence curricular-wise, all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade, okay? So what we could do administratively is also take that one step further in communication and say, how do you guys communicate at the high school, how do you communicate at the other levels, and is there a commonality? So that we don't have, parents and everybody that go to Winthrop Harbor and then communication is done one way, and then they come to the high school and it's done a different way and they're not used to it. So having that scope and sequence would be a wonderful way to really kind of bridge that gap as well. So excellent. This group?
Guess I'll be the one talking. And chime in, but from my perspective, even though, so we're 4 districts and we talk about we're one school community, but I think we have to recognize that each district does have its own characteristics of its population, of its students, and as we've gotten together more though, I think one thing that's hit me is that I think we all struggle to different degrees to try and connect with not just the parents, or not just the community, but also the parents. So I think one thing that I've learned is I think we need to figure out how to help one another do that. It was talked about, social media is one way. I said many years ago, for whatever people thought of the local newspaper, there was a way to have a message get out to thousands of people. And right now, the only way to get that message out is to write your own stuff. And I think sometimes that's not necessarily perceived as objective. So figuring out how maybe we can help one another get messages out, whether it's about what we're doing at budget time, what we're doing with curriculum, talk about the fact that we are collaborating and what we've hopefully seen now that we've been doing this for a couple of years, what have we seen as some successes, or at least some changes in the way we work together that we can try and tout to the community. But how can we support one another in getting that message out, getting the community to understand, getting our parents to be more engaged, whether beyond the sporting event or the performing arts type, carrying community attention when we're doing stuff that probably is more at the core of how successful their students are going to be.
Excellent. So we are 2 for 2 with communication. Do we have a third?
Yeah.
One of the things we discussed at the table is that when we have these meetings, there seems to be a lot of topics, a lot of discussion. It has to be chunked up into pieces. We listen to you guys talk about what you decide about, or we're not looking at the whole picture. So one of the things I think that would be beneficial is if we just pick one topic at the end of every meeting we have like this. We pick a new topic, and we'll go with the social media. We're on with that, so you can have your communication. So let's say we all decide, hey, what are we doing to communicate more with our parents to get more involvement? And focus on that for the next meeting we're gonna have. Try some things, take some metrics, see what you get, start with your baseline, see if you get results. Let's say we decide to, we'll go with like cutting off the comments on the post we put on social media. Does that turn something bad? Hey, we learned that they really get mad when you don't allow them to talk. Do you allow them to just free put anything, so now I gotta deal with the trolls? Do you have a social media expert where you talk to like CLC and pull one of these kids coming out of the social media and communications aspect and pay them a part-time stipend or something like that to spend a couple of hours just to go through and make sure things don't line. But the point of it is that we have the one topic that we all agree we're all gonna work towards, and then we come back and we share what we've learned. There might be something Six does that none of us thought of, like, oh, that's brilliant. And we have numbers to show it worked really great with our parents and outside of the parents' communication. So yeah, just more focused and a community to move forward and then share the results from what we actually try between the meetings.
Excellent, excellent. I really kind of feel the energy as moving forward, having you all work together tonight and wanting to take that next step. Final group.
I guess I'm talking now. So I think I'm pretty new to this, so I haven't had any past learnings. But what I found beneficial in these types of meetings is just your ability to communicate one-on-one, right? And these moments where you get to share learnings with each other, just kind of probe and ask what sorts of issues are. So I guess it still is communication, right? It's district to district communication, understanding what's going on in 6, understanding what's going on in 3, what's going on in 1, what's going on in 126, because a lot of these issues may be shared. If not, we may have, as Dane said, like there may be a solution that we've already kind of figured out, like, oh yeah, we did this, it was great, we got parental involvement through this program or whatever. And I think that was really it, just keeping the lines of communication open. And I do think that, personally, this is just me, this isn't my group, I think there's value in having very focused topics. Like this time we're going to talk about curriculum K-12, whatever, right? Like that's this, so we can do our research ahead of time, right? So I know, okay, cool, let me read up a little bit, right? Let me do some Google searches on some studies so I know what I'm talking about so I don't look like an idiot, right?
Well, so what did we learn tonight? That we're all having the same issue of communication.
Yep.
Right? Real time.
There we go. I think this really kind of moves into the next step. And Dr. Lawson, I'll bring you up to kind of take that next step with this group and draw our focus in, because I think it's pretty clear on where this group wants to go next time we meet.
Perfect. Good evening, all, and thank you for the amazing feedback. So heard a few things. One was, how often do we meet? When should we meet? And be prepared when we meet. So last year, this school year, we started in October with a meeting, October 29th, last Tuesday of the month. In December 10th, we had the State of the Learning Community meeting here at the high school as well, and today, April 29th. So 2 joint board meetings, 1 State of the Learning Community meeting. Is that too much? Is it not enough? What are your thoughts? Moving forward. 1 meeting, 2 meetings, another meeting every month.
They work better when you put them on the clock.
Put them on the clock?
Rather than pinpointing how many meetings, maybe we should focus on, if we're going to do appointed targeted discussion, like let's say social media is gonna be the topic of next month. They're like, how long do we need to try what we need to try to develop those discussion points to come in with real results that we can discuss? Is it quarterly? Is it biannually? If that's twice a year?
So
that's the discussion.
maybe then, thank you, that's a great point. I should have reversed the slides. My next slide speaks to priorities. Thank you for stealing my thunder.
Anytime.
The number of meetings, 2. Though right now we have 2 on the calendar. 1 October, April. Too much? Not enough? Just thoughts around our current 2 and the state of the learning community meeting that we have.
Maybe we should look at our priorities and see.
Okay, so we agreed to take a look at the priorities?
Yes.
And then come back to calendar schedule. Beautiful. Why? Because trying to manage my own calendar as one person is tough. And when I thought about trying to bring the calendars of all of you in this room together, I wanted to pass out. All right, so priority areas, 25, 26, heard a few things. We have some of the same challenges. Communication is an issue, it's a lot. Being focused benefits us tremendously. Based on what you discussed today and what you may have not discussed, what are your thoughts on priority areas? I heard communication bubble up a few different tables, so it seems like communication may have risen to the top as a priority. To discuss, anything additional?
Well, the problem with communication is a big topic. I think to go into communication, you need to focus on certain areas of communication. So if you're going to pick that, we can't just say.
So we haven't picked anything.
But
But
I'm just
communication
giving
was something that rose to the top here. Now we can dig a little deeper and do some drilling down to figure out what particular area of communication do we need to focus on. Is it sending messages to external partners, to parents? Is it communicating with staff, students? So we can start to drill down. But just based on what has been discussed across tables, seems like the general idea of communication has risen to the surface.
I think one of the things that I heard people kind of articulate pertaining to communication is the need to really have a communication plan that we all kind of follow. And not knowing what, like in one district it may be they communicate through Facebook, that's really how they do it. I'm just making an example. But then another district really communicates through text messages and phone calls, that's how they communicate everything. And really creating more of a universal kind of, all of us are gonna do this, because I think I heard someone say, like, some districts do this and it isn't consistent. And so because there are 3 foundational districts that feed up to Zion Benton Township High School, is parents get used to one way and then they go to the high school and it's something else. So potentially creating kind of a universal communication plan for general things might be something that the boards could jointly help develop.
Okay.
Don't lose track of the community. Too much is focused on the parents, but the community at large needs to know what's going on. We're asking them to support us with their tax dollars. They need to know what's going on so they can buy in and feel part of it.
And I definitely feel like that was one of the topics that was brought up of, we have, I think to the point, we have people show up at board meetings when it has to do with money, taxes, and levies, all of those things. And how are we communicating that collectively so that we're sending the same message and the communities are hearing the same thing? So like a communication plan that we collectively utilize when it comes to big topic, things like that.
Well, we need to hear from the communities. That's I think very important, right? Like they need to tell us what we need to do, right? That's not, it doesn't go there. We don't necessarily tell them. They need to tell us what they want because we don't know. Right? I mean, you can go on Facebook.
Well, I'm not going to.
You're
you're showing your green on that.
No, I understand, like, I get it, right? Like, I get it, you're not gonna always want what you're getting, 100%. I see what is on Facebook pages, I see it all, it's a mess, right? But like, realistically, like, that's kind of what we're here for, right? Like, I am being green, I'm being an idealist here, but like.
We all were.
Right, for sure, for sure. But like, it's frustrating when you're at a meeting and like, there's like 2 people there, it's the same 2 people every week and they say the same things. Me being one of them, right, up until a week ago. So just some feedback from the community in a constructive way, right? Just tell us where we should focus sometimes, because we do.
So that could
Part
be
of
the
the-
start of your communication plan, though, is surveying our communities
Sure.
to say, what do you want?
Right.
I guess that's been part of the challenge. We've done a couple of different things, whether it's through our strategic plan or facilities master plan, different opportunities where we blast information out for the community to contribute, come to a meeting, fill out a survey online. You don't even have to come somewhere. You could just type something on a computer or do something through your phone. And I guess the challenge is, at least for me, the challenge has been when there's, whether it's positive or negative feedback over the last, umpteen years, is that feedback coming from 1 out of every 100 people who holds that opinion? Or is that really 75 out of 100 people, but there's only the 1 person who's actually making a point of letting you know? So you don't know if it's one squeaky wheel who you're trying to appease, or if it's really a community-wide thing, but everybody's busy and or for whatever reason not interested enough to share, come out, communicate to you. So try to figure out, get that pulse, so that when any of us are doing something, whether it's spending money, changing curriculum, investing in things, whatever it happens to be, that you know that you're actually hitting on the thing that if you could force everybody to give you their feedback out of, the umpteen, tens of thousands of people within our 4 boundaries, what's that gonna look like? Are we gonna think we're in the right direction or not?
So, sorry, go Margie.
Right, to your point, we're 2 different districts, right? Do we want this group to focus on what this group is communicating collectively versus 126.3, right? So this group should want to just say, we're going to consistently on a couple years tell about the state of education, some things, and then maybe something, a snippet from each what we're working on together to communicate to the big about the collective effort that we're doing together. So we decide on a communication, what are we going to do collective, because we're going to meet and we're going to talk about, we're going to report on X, Y, and Z, and how are we going to communicate that and what venue are we going to use. If the parents are coming to a performing arts thing, because our bands come together from each end, that might be an avenue where we tell them a 5-minute snippet about something that we have, because we don't have a paper. The collective districts are working on this, and you give them the down and dirty right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go on with the musical. Even if it's a 1-pager or something where they got the highlights of what we're working on together.
So I want to go back to a very salient point that was made. There's a communication problem, and we haven't really identified yet what the communication problem is, because the topic of communication is so big. And so I heard there's a plan, we need a plan to identify the problem of communication. All right, so the priority then is the communication plan maybe, and not just communication. Is that what I'm hearing, or did I not hear that?
Does everybody agree?
How about the thumbs? Communication, thumbs up to communication. All right, maybe side.
Mr. 5.
Mr. 5.
All right.
Because we can take a whole year on communications of just different steps.
Well, even if we take the larger topic communication and we do put it into subtopics under social media communication, communication to parents about school-driven, state of the school, and hit those where, as we go back as our districts and do stuff, we stay focused on that major topic, but also hit those, we have something to talk about for each one of those bullet points underneath. can identify them, whether it's social media, mailers, the communication tool that you use to talk to parents.
Yep.
Whatever.
We are communicating with our seniors, and that's key. How do we get that, make that communication happen as well? So that's another problem there.
And what's important is also communication between us, you know, board superintendent communication, board-to-board communication, how we communicate. So this idea that if one board member knows, every board member knows. If one superintendent knows, the other superintendents know. So right now, currently, if there's something, you know, from closing schools to opening schools to ideas, if one superintendent knows, everybody knows right now. And in the last year, it's been like that. But in that communication plan, we also include ourselves. You know, this is internal. And there's internal communication and external. We are internal. We're one team. So if one board knows, what do we do so that other boards know? So with communication, we can develop a plan like that, where we can promote internal and external communication. But internal is us. So.
All right. Priority 2. What are we thinking beyond communication?
Collaboration is important. How do you communicate when you can work together or collectively? So you gotta work collectively, so you gotta collaborate.
That's Dr. Rodriguez's suggestion /
Yeah.
recommendation.
Yeah, just that.
I'm looking to hear from our board. Priority 2. You've talked about quite a bit.
I guess I still feel like communication is so big that it's like a priority 1 too, because there's so many different parts of it that.
Yeah, but we can't eat the elephant.
Right.
So collectively, again, even if you stay in your boards with how you're going to communicate, when we come together to send a message to the community, it should be the collective effort of this collective meeting, right? Because we can't develop a communication plan for each district, because every school, every district, every school in the district is different, right? But when we're talking about community, and I think if we start with just letting people know that we are all working together collaboratively on these efforts, that's already a huge communication. That's already huge. They don't know that. Sometimes, you know, the social media is telling our story. We're not telling our story. Right? Social media is telling the story. It's not accurate. But, you know, they're talking. So District 126 and 126 did this on the meeting on to better work together. Just if they knew that we were all coming together and not working in silos on educational issues, it's huge communication already.
I just have something. If we prepared something to your thought there and put it out to each one of us, and each one of us forwarded it out to everyone that we're connected with, there has to be just an overpowering number of people that are getting the information passed to them, whether they want it or not. If there was some kind of a social media, either a picture or just one photograph that comes out that says that we are working together, and then puts all the districts and the boards together, like lifts it, and it just comes out to all of us, and then we in turn send it out to everybody that we know, and just kind of flood social media with, hey, we're doing something, and we want you to know about it. And I don't know whether that's something that you actually get comments back on. You just want it to be an FYI. All of these boards are working together, and we want you to know about it. And how do we get, second in my thought would be, how do you get the parents? I know the community is going to respond to taxes and levies and all that kind of thing, but really where we're all involved is with each child's life that's in each one of our districts.
And how do you get parents to communicate back to you? Because some parents don't care. Some parents are non-existent, and grandma or auntie or some other family member is actually raising this child. And it's required that kids go to school. So, of course, they're gonna send kids, but they're gonna be uninvolved. Somehow we have to get that responsible parent or person into a discussion before their kid's in the principal's office, or they're in trouble, or God forbid at a county level, they're in worse trouble.
So I think what we are talking about, we're back to Dr. Wilcox's idea of a communication plan. And it seems like that we all do, I'm certain that we all do things differently from one district to another as it relates to communication. So maybe the core of a plan, then we share that plan across districts to galvanize one another's individual plan to build a stronger communication plan across all 4 districts. Jerry, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I guess separate, as far as maybe a separate idea, and we've talked about some of this a little bit, and it's probably more a question for the superintendents, or unfortunately Dr. DeGangi stepped out, she was in here for a bit, is, I think one of the things when we started coming together as a group was to say, what are we doing to make sure that each of our districts is making sure that kids from kindergarten all the way through till day 721, that we're all doing what we can to make sure that they're in a position to be successful. And do those that aren't board members think that enough is being done, or that we need to do more to support what you're doing on curriculum alignment? That's been a conversation since I came on the board, and then there was a conversation back in the early 2000s of, in the elementary district and how we're feeding our students up to the high school. Is that an area that we need to work on, or is that all reasonably well? Maybe one district is doing a better job at aligning than others, but is that something that we need to talk about, or that we can hear from you about, administrators and curriculum directors, about maybe what opportunities there are for us to do something different to support you as board members?
So I think that's great insight. And one of the things that I did recently was I came over and joined you all's strategic plan presentation, because I wanted to make sure that as a district we align to the work that you guys were doing, obviously, because we send our students, right? And so we want to make sure that they are high school ready when they come to you. Across the 4 districts, I personally don't think that we have done enough collectively to ensure that. So that's, again, my priority, but this isn't Julius's priority. I'm looking to hear from you all, but I think that's a great point. And if you reference the legacy statements and you think about the Joint Boards of Education and what our work should look like, then you have great ideas just behind you to think about what our priorities should look like for as we move forward.
Do you think, I know Dr. Rodriguez came back, so we've got the 4 superintendents here. Is there enough alignment or work being done between the districts to help make sure that our students are handed off from 8th grade to 9th grade in a position to not be like, oh my God, why wasn't I, or for a parent to say, why weren't they ready to do this? And is that something that we, as boards in a meeting like this, can even do anything about, other than to say, okay, we're all on the same page, and when it comes to budget time, we're going to do this in buying resources, or we're going to do this in helping provide appropriate staffing, whatever that might look like in each of our districts. That seems like that's the core of what all of us as a group of 4 districts could be doing, but if it's already being done, it's probably moot. If it's not being done, then what can we do to make it better?
I would agree, and the short answer to your question is no, and I think
well, to piggyback off that, we used to.
Yes, I think it used to be done, and I think it hasn't been done recently enough, and we need to revisit that.
But like,
you are correct, Andy.
There was enough turnover, I think, at points 6, 7, 8 years ago, where people came and went at different levels within all 4 of the districts, whether it's all 4 or at least key people came and went.
where that goes. That stop.
But that would be on us, right, to, not necessarily to coordinate that.
Well, that's why I'm saying, what can
That's
we do
the
to make sure that it's happening
Yeah.
if for some reason it's faltered?
We can support and I guess to a lesser degree hold accountable, right, if there's no progress on it, but, I mean, we just need to make it a priority.
Right, and is that a meeting? Is that us having to be in a meeting, or is it the board's just saying, hey, superintendent, make sure that your staff are doing what we need to do, and then report back to us on how well that alignment is being made, to happen, so. Yeah. Then we might not need to sit as a group for 2.5 hours to talk about it. If you guys say, yes, there's an opportunity to do better, and at the next time we get together, here's a 20-minute presentation on how we're doing better.
Much appreciated, and I agree. I'm thinking about the next time that we all do come together, right? So as joint boards, these are the things that we will discuss as priorities. So we will talk how we have improved communication. Let me pause.
I think we could add this to the superintendent's goals and ask for metrics.
Okay? What metric would you ask for in terms of alignment between the districts? Is it just?
I would want to know, first of all, what needs to be aligned?
What needs to be aligned?
What needs to be aligned? Are we aligning math? Are we aligning reading? Are we aligning literacy?
Absolutely.
And how do we plan to do it? Do we need more textbooks? Do we need tutors? So what are the goals that we need to reach to get a freshman prepared for freshman year? So I think that has to be established too. What goals, how do we get there? How can each school district help each other?
So we might be talking about two different things. So alignment is one thing, and what we need to get aligned is something completely different. And what that work looks like as it relates to individual superintendents is different as well. So if this is a goal for the superintendent, I would wonder what is the metric going to be as it relates to alignment between districts. So I would want to know if you're going to hold me accountable to that, which I'm fine with, just what does it look like? And so I would want to hear that from
What would it look like to a superintendent?
So I wouldn't write that as a goal, as alignment between other districts. So
That's policy.
yeah, I mean,
Thank you for that.
So I align my work to superintendent, like competency standards, so the work of the state, and so aligning my work to the high school's work or other districts' work wouldn't be a part of that. So I wouldn't write a goal.
You wouldn't write a goal like that. Would you write a goal to identify any existing gaps?
Any existing gaps
Gaps between moving from 8th grade to 9th grade?
Sure.
Or ensuring that
To identify the gaps and put together the metrics of what we need to do to decrease that gap?
Say that once more.
Define the gap. What gaps exist and how do we address them?
Yep.
I mean, do we have 80 students that need to be brought up to grade levels? Can we decrease that to 60 students? Can we decrease that to 40 students? Can we buy more books? Do we need to hire more tutors?
That is very different than aligning the work between districts, which is why I said we're talking about two different things.
Okay.
Yep.
Just like
So-
I said with the communication piece. Right. We have a Door to D6 newsletter that goes out to every household. What does each one of you all have? Is there something in the communication piece for this group that we can put in Door to D6? D1 is doing together, D1, 3, 6, 126 are doing this, right? To communicate to the community what's happening. But you're not going to stop your 126 newsletter about what's specifically going on internal. So like Dr. Rodriguez says, you have that internal, that external, right? This group should be communicating what this group is doing collectively. And if we can feed off of something, adopt something, like he said, well, I didn't know you were doing that, maybe we can adopt that here. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
The public elected you. So we have a chain of command. It's the public first. Then is you as Board of Education. So the public entrusted you to do this work as a board member. And then with that you establish policies, you work with us on procedures, and then you put that on us so that we can implement those policies. as superintendents with our staff. So I said all of that to say that one thing that many of you have done, I mean, I think all of us, is that we have established priorities. In some places you call it strategic plans, but that is you. So I use Denise as an example. Your board is, adopted a strategic plan. The board decided that this is what is important. They're directing your work. So you have to implement that strategic plan, which might require change in policy, allocation of resources, and then you gotta bring back a return on that investment. And the same thing happens with us, and the same thing is happening with you, and the same thing happens in one. So, so that direction is set by you through your strategic plan, based on what the public communicated to you that they wanted to see more of. So that's the strategic plan and the idea that you do set direction is important, because that's how it works. The board sets direction, we implement. The board is in the balcony, we're in the dance floor. But you're setting direction. It's not me setting direction in 126. The board wants me to do these things based on this strategic plan. And then I have to find a way to make that happen and provide the board with a win. Because I have to make sure that the brand of the board is protected, that they look good. But while I'm doing that, whose brand am I protecting too? Mine. So it's collective. We're a team. So,
but you're a team in your external team. So unless we have to develop a strategic plan together,
exactly, that is.
That's a different avenue. So when we're talking about a communication plan, we're talking about from here. So we communicate with the tri-community what we're doing collectively, not, because our strategic plan is already going to tell them what D6 is doing and the direction that we're going.
Mm-hmm. And there are similarities, because we work together and intentionally we make sure that there are some similarities. But as you indicated, I mean, they're not going to be the same. Even in schools, it has to be personalized on the needs of each district. But there are similarities. There are universal goals that we share. So we can communicate that.
So we have two priorities for this group moving forward. And I don't necessarily think that we have to close this out today, but to begin the work of a communication plan, individual districts that should look similarly across the 4 districts, and the alignment of the district's work as it relates to curriculum. So we've already kind of started to talk about this, but the alignment of our work individually. That makes sense? No. The alignment of our work.
If I could make a suggestion.
Sure.
So I know that I would assume, Dr. Rodriguez, you're going to keep these posters with the 4 topics from today. I do think there is value in taking potentially some of these topics, and then at the very first joint meeting we have, this is what we gathered from what you shared collectively at your tables of things related to these 4 topics. Overview-wise, we could give some priority areas and you guys could decide these are our top 2. I realize communication's already developed, but potentially these could give us the help we need to come back at a first joint board meeting and decide these are the priority areas we would like to focus on for the year.
What she said. And not just because I'm on her board. But we've covered a lot of things. He touched on it, you touched on it, a couple others over there. We've covered a lot of things. And to take these things and make a list, because we're kind of talking in circles now.
Got it. So that's exactly what we'll do. We'll take the, yes, sir.
I would like to make an admission with us discussing on these topics. I can't speak for everybody, but I chose the ones that we chose because that was the most closest and easiest for me to speak on.
Yeah.
I don't want it treated like the 2 we didn't touch on are less important. No. Just those are the ones we found easiest.
Right.
So that just to
Good
state that. I don't know if everybody else is doing that, but that's where I was at in my headspace.
Good call out. Thank you for the transparency there. Good call out. Okay. And we will also come back to calendar after we reshare what next year's priorities may possibly look like to you all. Good to go? Thumbs up? That's okay. All right.
Dr. Lawson, could we potentially state the earliest they would like to see us do that first meeting in the new year?
Sure.
Because then we can pick a date and just share it with all of you. It just,
Yeah,
this year we didn't do one until October, and the very end of October. Would you rather see one in September in time?
Would the superintendents lead that? You guys understand the hectic of opening a school, starting a school, like, when do you feel comfortable the chaos is done, now let's all meet up?
The chaos is never done.
October 28th, put it on the calendar.
So the end of October.
All right. Thank you.
Question for you guys. How are you grading?
Does everybody want to go back to their original seats so you are with your own board for the end here? You're good? Well, everybody should have an exit ticket at their seat. And if you don't, we definitely have extras.
I'm on there.
So, any good teacher worth anything does exit tickets because they want to kind of assess how did people do? Do they understand? Is it a way for them, a student, to provide feedback? Is it an opportunity for them just to reflect on what they learned? So we're going to do all of those things today. So everybody should have one of these. There are 3 things on it. 3 ideas I have for our future. 2 things I learned today. And any questions I have. So, what I would love is for everyone to fill it out. If you want to put your name on it and what district you're a board member in, that would be super helpful. Because this will also help us as superintendents help create the priority areas for next year. So if you want to just take a couple minutes, there should be pens at every table, and fill this out, I would greatly appreciate it. Does your pen not work?
Oh, it works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does one of you have the printer? Okay. If you can't fill in every box, it's 100% okay. We just want to thank you guys for your partnership. The last thing that we want to share with you is a date has been picked for our back to school bash, which we are going to do collectively on behalf of our 4 districts, again, here at the high school. It will be August 4th. Again, it'll be a free event to the whole community. We'll have food trucks, activities for students, and we want to invite every one of you to come and be a part of the Back to School Bash, because that is the best way to create connected community, is for us to come together before school starts and really celebrate coming back to school, celebrating our students, celebrating their learning, and celebrating what we're doing collectively in our 4 school districts. And the last thing is, we brought crumble cookies for everyone. There are some, they're cut up into, 4 pieces. You can have a whole cookie. We have tons of them because we just want to celebrate the fact that we've done a lot of work together this year, collectively as boards, and our kids have done a lot of work this year, and if it's worth learning, it's worth celebrating. So thank you so much. You guys can give your exits. You can either leave it at the table, you can come and hand it to one of us. But we just want to thank you so much for your time and your dedication to our students. There are plates and napkins over there, there's water, feed, help yourself.
I started in water with my life. I'm sure you were.
Oh, yeah, get the words out.
I think it's.
Yeah, no matter.
Oh, money.
I'll do the job of. Thanks for speaking up.
Thanks for the
Littles are getting bigger. T-ball, dance, cheerleading, track and field. You guys were sitting in church the other day. Yeah.
There you go.